ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुः श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपां साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। तृणादपि सुनिचेन तरोरिव सहिष्णुना अमानिना मानदेन कीर्तनीया सदा हरि। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। जन्मादियस्य यतः अन्वयादितरतः अर्थेषु अभिघ्नस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदं यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो अमृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। सत्यं परं धीमहि। सत्यं परं धीमहि। धर्म प्रोजित कैतवो अत्र पुंसो निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवादं त्रापत्रयोन्मूलं श्रीमद्भागवतं महामुनिकृते किं वा परेरीश्वरेः सद्यो हृदि अवरुध्यते अत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रुभिः तत्क्षणात् निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं सुखमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबतं भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्। वासुदेवे भगवती भक्तियोगप्रयोजितः ज्ञानतीयशु वैराग्यं ज्ञानं च यद् अहेतुकम् शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्थस्थो हयभद्राणि विदुनोति श्रुहित्सतां नष्टप्रयेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी यस्यं वै श्रूयमानानं कृष्णे परमपुरुषे भक्तिरुत्पाद्यते पुंसा शोकमोह भय अपः। So welcome everyone for today's session. Before beginning, I like to seek blessings from all the senior Vaishnavas, or all the Vaishnavas who are online, all the Vaishnavas who are yet to be born, so that I can speak something in line of disciplic succession, which is hopefully enlightening to you and purificatory to me. So just to give you context, in the sixth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord, he protected Indra repeatedly. Indra made lot of mistakes in the sixth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Just to let you know that from sixth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a turning point in Srimad Bhagavatam. The mercy of the Lord flows dramatically from sixth canto onwards. And what to speak of seventh canto? Seventh canto will need one full session to actually glorify seventh canto itself. Because if someone understands or reads this canto properly, systematically, slowly, attend this seventh canto very attentively, if you attend all the sessions and do the seventh canto properly, then you will know God. That is an amazing benediction, because this canto is the science of God. So I can't go in greater details in this session, because already the session is only very small. But nonetheless, this canto, each canto begins with a question. Sixth canto began with a question, that how do we protect people who are going to hell? This was put forward by Parikshit Maharaj. And in answer to that question, the entire sixth canto happened. And in sixth canto, Indra made repeated mistakes. He offended his spiritual master. Then he was cursed. Then, he somehow or other managed to survive. And, his so-called teacher who was helping him to be still in the heavenly planets, he killed his son, Vishwarupa. So he got Brahman Hatya, dosh of a Brahman Hatya. Now the problem was he was still protected somehow by praying to the Lord, that his sins were divided in, among women, land which doesn't have any vegetation. So, land which is like a desert. So there were four different categories in which he divided his sins. But nonetheless, then he had to kill Vritrasura. And to kill Vritrasura, he had to again beg to the Lord. And Lord was very unhappy with him this time also, saying that if foolish people ask material benedictions, and if I am their Lord, and if I give these foolish people their benedictions, then I will also be called a fool. Isn't it true? If someone asks you something foolish and you're giving them that thing, then you yourself could be called as a fool. Nonetheless, the Lord guided Indra, and Dadishi Muni, through his bones, Indra made Vajra, and Indra then eventually killed Vritrasura. He didn't want to kill Vritrasura. And then, somehow that he got sinful reactions from killing Vritrasura. It was an intense sinful reaction that he got, and so that to an extent that for 1,000 years he had to meditate. And then suddenly Srimad Bhagavatam takes a detour and again goes back to the pastimes of Diti, where Diti, his sons Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksh were killed by Lord Vishnu on the prayers of Indra again. So Bhagavatam, there's pastimes of Chitraketu Maharaj's previous, Vritrasur's previous lifetime, which is Chitraketu Maharaj, and then eventually it ends with this pastime, where Indra again is helped by the Lord in killing Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu, and therefore Diti wanted to have children who will kill Indra, and therefore there is a pastime of Marut Gana, which is an amazing, amazing, amazing pastime, which everyone must actually read to understand even how physically or day-to-day existence can impact our life, our existence. So by the beginning of the seventh canto, again it starts with a question, and which Parikshit Maharaj is now under is confused. Parikshit Maharaj is now questioning is what pleasure will Lord actually get by siding with Indra? Why does Lord Narayan Krishna is repeatedly siding with Indra? As the Krishna, he is complete, he is fully pleasurable, he has all the pleasure. So does he get any pleasure by siding with Indra? Maybe not. But these questions are arising in his mind. So then he's also thinking, why Lord should fear any asuras? Does Lord fear any asuras? He's siding with demigods all the time. Does he actually fear any asuras? um, and why should he be envious of them? Because when you kill someone, then you're generally envious of that person. Because if the Lord is envious of someone, then this means that that person is in duality. Happiness and envy, and friendship and envy, all these things, these are dualities. So someone who is in the duality cannot be perfect. It's a sign of imperfection. So, but the Lord is supposed to be fully perfect. So now these questions are coming in the mind of Parikshit Maharaj. And Parikshit Maharaj is basically asking these questions very nicely. It says, Itina su mahabhaga narayanan gunan prati samshaya su mahanjata tadbhavam shetum arhati. So he says that I have these doubts about whether Narayan is partial or impartial, you can positively dispel my doubt and cut it to pieces. This is what this is how the beginning of seventh canto happens, by requesting to dispel the doubt. Now, very interestingly, this question put forward to Shukdev Goswami. Shukdev Goswami answers this question very systematically. So he basically first, Shukdev Goswami is greatly pleased because he is asked a question in relation to Lord Narayan. And here it is said, Sadhu Prishtam Maharaja Haresh Charitam Adbhutam. The personality of Hari is Adbhut. And here the word uses Yad Bhagavata Mahatmayam. So personality of Hari is amazing, but not only personality of Hari is amazing, the personality of his devotees is also amazing. It's sometimes even more amazing. So here, yeah, the word Yad Bhag, actually, I'm not sharing the screen. So let me just share the screen. My bad. Are you all able to see it?
Yes,
Yes.
Prabhu.
Okay. So here in this verse, before actually answering Parikshit Maharaj why it is why answering his question why Lord is equal, he is telling that anyone who is asking question in relation to the Lord is great. Not only that, anyone who basically glorifies the devotees of the Lord is also great. So, Yad Bhagavata Mahatmayam. So, Bhagavat in this instance, Bhagavat means, Prabhupada, if you look at the translation, Prabhupada is mentioning Lord's devotee Prahlad Maharaj, because seventh canto is actually about Prahlad Maharaj. So, 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 what will happen if you glorify the devotees of the Lord? Bhagavad Bhakti Vardhanam. That means your devotion to the Lord will increase dramatically. This is what happens when you glorify the pure devotees of the Lord. Sometimes, devotees generally like to glorify the other devotees of the Lord. That is also beneficial. Your devotion to the Lord will increase if you are doing genuine praises, not chatukarita, not like just for the sake of doing praise. So if you are praising some pure devotee, that's amazing. If you're praising any ordinary devotee, any devotee at any stage, but genuine praises, they will increase your devotion. And then he's saying that actually the glories of the Lord is sung by all the great sages, beginning with the most exalted sage Narad Muni. And therefore, let me tell you about the Supreme Lord. Let me answer you this question about the Supreme Lord. But before this, let me offer my obeisances to my spiritual master. Hmm? Krishnaya Munaye. So here his spiritual master is Vyasadeva, his father. So he wants to offer respectful obeisances to his father. It's critically important that we pay obeisances to our spiritual master or think of our spiritual master and offer our good intentions to spiritual master. And after the results come out, we should also offer the results to our spiritual master. This is the secret of devotional life. And actually, without remembering spiritual master, none of the topics can actually be understood by oneself. What to speak of explaining others? It's impossible. So, therefore, here we are set, disciplic succession is being presented, that he is first offering obeisances to his spiritual master. And then, very systematically, Shukdev Goswami is starting to answer. First, he says that Lord, unlike normal people, so there is some philosophy here. If you just generally read these next few 5 to 10 shlokas, you might think, oh, might have heard this little bit in Bhagavad Gita, a little bit here. But if you concentrate and read these verses slowly, you will realize that the knowledge in them is amazing, is even deeper. And here it says that the Supreme Lord, he is Nirguna, that he is without any material qualities. And importantly, he is not Badhya. Badhya means one who is, there are multiple meanings of Badhya, but Prabhupada is using obligation. An obligation is one who is not obligated. Now, living entities are obligated to material nature. If you have an urge, you have to fulfill that urge because that urge is coming from the material nature, material mind, like that. So, Lord is not Badhya. Um, Lord is without any material qualities. He is nirguna and he is avyakta, which means he is not just unmanifest, he is inexhaustible. And he is prakrite paraha, which means he is above the material modes. So first point, he is starting to clarify that, okay, you want to know whether Lord is equal or unequal, but I'm telling you that Lord is having these qualities. That one, he is beyond material qualities. He is not like a badhya, and therefore you cannot have badhyatatam gataha. He can't be bound. He can't be, just defined like easily, because he is not badhya. So then he goes on to explain that just as, when someone is in sattva, then there is rajas, in rajas you are a little bit more active. Then there is uh, tamas, where you become, you're not so active. So if you were to consider a knob, you have knob. Back in the days, you used to have those knobs. You could go from degree 5 to degree 1 to degree 5. Sorry, someone's at my door. Is it okay? Can I just quickly go and open the door? Just it will be just literally few seconds. Sorry about that. So here is explain, if you have seen, the old school knobs we used to have for the ceiling fans or even standing fan, you have these knobs where you go from level 1 to level 5 by turning on the knobs. So if you imagine three knobs: mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And if you put an ordinary human being like you, me, inside these three modes, we are already in these three modes. And if we increase these knobs and reduce some of these knobs, we will be affected by this. Sometimes we'll be laughing, we will have harsha, sometimes we'll be very sad, when the mode of passion and ignorance is at the top. So if you imagine these kind of knob, we will be impacted by this knob, by movement of these knobs, because these knobs are controlling the three modes of nature. Just like you must have seen in Bhagavad Gita, there is this picture of a lady doing a play, by holding the strings of strings and playing the dolls. So like that, these knobs, they affect the normal ordinary human beings. But the Supreme Lord, he doesn't come under these three modes. So whether you increase passion, you decrease passion, you increase goodness, decrease goodness, increase tamas, the mode of ignorance, the Supreme Lord will not be affected by any of these. Only an ordinary living entity gets impacted by these. So then he starts to explain that in a, the he just goes a little bit into creation, very briefly explains creation of the universe. He says that jai kale tu sattvasya. So when the quality of goodness is prominent, then the sages and the demigods flourish. So when goodness is high, then demigods are flourishing. When passion is high, then other demons are flourishing. When ignorance is high, then yakshas and rakshas flourish. And then after explaining about that, Lord is not in the modes, Lord is not controlled by the modes, and the modes actually are affecting the ordinary living entities, demigods, demons, yakshas, rakshasas. He immediately explains that Lord is a super soul, and he is seated in everyone's heart. So if we just move ahead, this is a very interesting verse. In this verse, see, Bhagavatam was spoken in towards the end of Dwapar Yuga. Towards the end of Dwapar Yuga, people could actually still see demigods. Anyone here can see demigods now? Anyone here has met Indra, Chandra, Varuna? So many different demigods, 33 crore demigods. No one can see demigods because it is mentioned that in Kali Yuga, demigods will not be accessible. But this was Dwapar Yuga, and in Dwapar Yuga, demigods were still like visible. And the first symptom when any demigod comes is light. So here, Prabhupada has done an excellent translation. But if you take this literal Sanskrit, it means that just as when a demigod arrives or appears, then the first symptom is Jyoti, that there is light, there is some fire, there is abhati, So in association of demigod, you will automatically see some light. Similarly, any kavya, any kavi, any spiritualist, if they are constantly in association with super soul, if you are constantly meditating on the self, then you will realize that there is super soul. Just as in association with demigods, you will automatically see light. Similarly, in association with the self, you will realize that there is super soul. There is no, you don't need, to go to Himalaya. Even just by contemplating, you will realize that there is super soul. So, important stress is that the Supreme Lord is the super soul of every living entity in these verses. And then he's explaining different types of bodies are created, and Supreme Lord, he is the super soul, and he influences the creation, maintenance, and annihilation. And then this important point, introduction of time factor comes. So first, gunas were first the position of Lord was established. Then gunas were explained how Lord is not under the gunas. Then it was explained that the symptom of super soul, how you can realize the super soul even by just philosophically sitting down and meditating inside. And then it was explained that actually super soul, this whole creation is run by Lord, and super soul is the important personality which is helping to maintain everything situated in everyone. And now the concept of time has been introduced. So gunas, first establishing the position of the Lord, then the gunas, then demigods in sattva, demons and yakshas, rakshasas in rajas and tamas, then super soul, and now the time factor has been introduced. So he says that, mentions that the time is being created by the Lord very explicitly. And here in this one, it says, "O king, the time factor enhances the sattva guna." It does allow, thus, although the Supreme Lord is the controller, he favors the demigods who are mostly situated in sattva guna. Then the demons who are influenced by tamoguna are annihilated. The Supreme Lord induces the time factor to act in different ways, but he is never partial. Rather, his activities are glorious. And because his activities are glorious, he's called Urushrava. So basically, by this point in time, Shukdev Goswami is establishing the fact that it's not necessarily, you're thinking that, okay, Lord is killing the demons, favoring Indra. It's not necessarily that. There is time factor. And basically, because of the time factor, when the sattva guna is there, and when sattva guna is with the time factor, then the demigods will be favored. When there is more tamas, and when there is time factor mixed with the tamas, then you will see that more the demons will be protected and the world will be demoniac. So here, in a sense, Shukdev Goswami is trying to make a delineation between saying that, okay, Supreme Lord is always doing these activities, but actually Supreme Lord is not partial, because these things are supposed to happen according to time factor. Because time is an ultimate cause. Those people who do not respect the Lord, they will automatically be killed by the Lord as a time. So that's an impersonal aspect of the Lord. So here, he's saying that this is not his partiality, but influence of the time factor. Therefore, when the demigods are favored and demons are killed, this is not his partiality, but it's influence of the time factor. Prabhupada gives a very, very good example, but someone has to actually sit and ponder this in their moments very slowly. They have to understand this. Example given is in this regard, that is that an electrician connects both the heater and a cooler to the same electrical energy. Okay, so there is energy, and electrician is connecting the heater and the cooler. The cause of heating and cooling is electrician's manipulation. So electrician is manipulating this electrical energy according to his desire, but factually, in reality, electrician has nothing to do with causing the heat or cold, nor with the enjoyment or suffering of that results. So the Supreme Lord has a general desire that everyone should come to him, like an electrician. Like everyone should love him, everyone should be back in the spiritual world. So everyone should not suffer, no one should suffer. So Supreme Lord has created these modes. Now, like electrical energy, these modes exist. And the Lord has desires, and these desires of the Lord, they are acted upon by these modes. And those people who are in these modes will therefore get either heating or cooling. If you have electrical energy that will do heating, then it will be heating. If it's cooling, then it's cooling. But who has an intention and a desire? It's the electrician. So similarly, if you look in one way, then you will say, oh, it's the electrician who caused this heating and cooling. But in reality, if you factually check, then you'll say, oh no, it's electrical energy that is causing the heating and the cooling of the thing. So this is a very similar example that, okay, Lord, you think is killing and not killing, but actually he's, under the modes of nature, these things are happening. Then, as he's telling this, he basically detours and begins his conversation between Yudhishthir Maharaj and Narad Muni to explain the same concept. So you have given the philosophy, but sometimes philosophy will not be easily understood. So to explain the philosophy, if there is a story which you can relate to, then the philosophy can be easily understood. So here, as Sukdev Goswami is explaining these points to Parikshit Maharaj, he is now introducing Yudhishthir Maharaj in conversation, because Yudhishthir Maharaj is father of Parikshit Maharaj. In a way, he is a father also, like a elder father. So, in essence, Parikshit Maharaj can relate to Yudhishthir Maharaj because he is a family member. So now he's starting and he's giving the example, so Parikshit Maharaj can actually understand how Lord is not partial. And so he gives starts the story of Yudhishthir Maharaj conversation with Narad Muni. It's a very long conversation and one of the most beautiful conversations which goes on for the whole of 8th canto. Example given is of performing Rajasuya sacrifice. The great said Narad Muni, responding to his inquiry, recited the historical facts showing how the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always impartial even when killing the demons. In this regard, he gave a very vivid example of Shishupal and the Rajasuya Yagya. So what happened in this Rajasuya Yagya, everyone knows, right? Shishupal, everyone was there. Shishupal continued to blaspheme the Lord since his birth. And, in this specific ceremony, he blasphemed the Lord over 100 times. And therefore, Bhim wanted to originally kill him, but Supreme Lord stopped Bhim from killing him because Supreme Lord wanted that he should continue blaspheming the Lord, because the Krishna had promised to his mother that if he continues to blaspheme me, I'll forgive his 100 offenses, but 101st offense that he commits against me, he will be punished for that. So basically, Shishupal gets killed by Sudarshan Chakra of the Supreme Lord. So what happened exactly is Yudhishthir Maharaj was shocked. He was shocked to see that at the time of killing of Shishupal, his soul merged into the body of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Therefore, he was struck with wonder. He inquired for the reason of this great thing from great sage Narada, who was seated there. While he inquired, all the great sages present also heard him asking this question. So now Yudhishthir Maharaj is shocked and he's asking this question: how come this personality, Shishupal, he has been blaspheming the Supreme Lord since his childhood? How did he even get merging into the body of the Supreme Lord? It basically means liberation. How this is even possible? Because he was envious of the Supreme Lord. He was not favorable to Krishna. And in scriptures, it is mentioned in detail that if you blaspheme the Supreme Lord, it is even worse than killing Brahmanas. And not one Brahmana, many Brahmanas. So you will eternally reside in hellish planets if you blaspheme the Lord. So Yudhishthir Maharaj was very shocked. And do you know why Yudhishthir Maharaj was also very shocked? Because Yudhishthir Maharaj is Dharmaraj. He is literally the son of Dharmaraj. So wherever there is dharma and adharma, if someone does wrong, then they should be punished for that wrong. Here Shishupal did wrong all his life, but he didn't even get punished. He even got gifted. He got benefited. This is what Yudhishthir Maharaj can't understand, because he is not just an ordinary person, he is Dharmaraj also. Like, he is the upholder of the Dharma. And according to the Dharmic principles, this does not make any sense to him. Similarly, Parikshit Maharaj, when he's in the mood of a father at the beginning of at the end of the fifth canto, at the beginning of the sixth canto, he is in the mood of a king. King is supposed to be the father. So he is asking, how can I protect the citizens who are entering hell? How can I protect my citizens who are entering hellish planets? What can I do to reform them? So that is the beginning of sixth canto. And here in the beginning of seventh canto, again, Yudhishthir Maharaj, who is Dharmaraj, he is feeling that how can this injustice be done? How can Shishupal attain something so high that even ordinary people who give their entire lives to going to Himalayas, they can't attain it? So such high destination for a blasphemer, how is this even possible? So then he says, that even Vena, and the story of Vena, I think you all will remember. Vena, he was, number one rascal, number one fool. And he killed so many people, he troubled so many citizens, that eventually the Brahmanas had to kill him by doing a special sacrifice. That is the story of Vena. When Vena was killed, he basically entered hellish planets. He didn't enter the highest abode of the Supreme Lord. He was also blaspheming the Supreme Lord. And that's why the Brahmanas didn't like him. So Yudhishthir Maharaj is drawing conclusion that how come Vena, who blasphemed the Supreme Personality of Godhead, actually went to the hellish planets, and Shishupal, who blasphemed the Lord all of his life, he attained the highest abode, merged into the existence of the Lord, and achieved liberation. So Yudhishthir Maharaj is very bewildered by this point. And he's explaining some childhood of this personality, Shishupal and Damaghosh. That, he was blaspheming the Lord even from the womb of his mother. As soon as he was born, he started to blaspheme the Lord. He was very envious of Sri Krishna till the end of his life. And similarly, Dantavakra continued the same habits. So he was very, very shocked. And here, the Supreme Brahman, he was very shocked also, because someone who blasphemes the Lord, when you blaspheme the Lord, you will get some reactions. Like, you will have bad health, and your tongue, you will have problems. You will have white leprosy, you will have patches, and of course the ultimate punishment you get is going to having the hellish life. So sometimes people don't get see these external symptoms, but eventually they get the ultimate symptom, with the dangerous one, which is the hellish life. People might not get these physical symptoms sometimes, mainly because they are like number one anti-god. If someone's slightly good, and then they don't want to worship god, and they want to live their own life, and but they're good people, but somehow they're tilted towards god but not tilted towards god, somewhere in between, but of clean heart, then they sometimes get physical reactions, so that they can be corrected. Because once they get physical reaction, then they think, okay, why this is happening? Okay, maybe I did something wrong. Okay, let me just go on Mondays, I will go and offer Lord Shiva, I'll offer this uh, milk, and on Tuesdays I will do this, on Saturdays I'll worship Hanu. So they somehow get a sense that, oh, they did something wrong in their life, they blaspheme the Lord, they did some wrong activity, and therefore they're getting these symptoms. So they Supreme Lord tries to correct them. But some people who are completely atheists and completely anti-god, they might not get any of these physical symptoms, because there is no point for them to get physical symptoms. They are not going to get corrected like that. For them, time is the ultimate corrector. So he's asked this question because again, he's thinking, Yudhishthir Maharaj is thinking that, if someone blasphemes the Lord, something wrong has been done, then there has to be punishment. So someone blasphemes the Lord, they should get punishment, leprosy, hellish life, and all those things. So just see how the thought process of Yudhishthir Maharaj. Yudhishthir Maharaj is like Dharmaraj. He's thinking like a Dharmaraj. So he says, in my intelligence has become disturbed just as a flame of a candle is disturbed by a blowing wind. O Narad Muni, kindly, you know everything, kindly let me know the cause of this wonderful event. This is such a simple verse, but it has such a deep message. Such a deep message. This verse is one of the deepest messages. If you look at this verse, Yudhishthir Maharaj is accepting the fact that he is incapable of understanding something, even though he was the controller of the whole creation. You know, he was doing this yagya. Gita Gamya Mataji, I'll come back to you in a moment, towards the end for the question and answers.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
So in essence, you know, he was elder brother of Krishna. Yudhishthir Maharaj was elder brother of Krishna. Yudhishthir Maharaj could have gone directly to Krishna and he could have asked Krishna directly, Krishna, how this has happened. But is Yudhishthir Maharaj establishing connection directly with Krishna, even though he can do this? He is elder brother of Krishna. But nonetheless, Yudhishthir Maharaj doesn't do that. He approaches spiritual master. This is such a fundamental principle in our lives. No matter how intelligent, no matter how scholarly, no matter how amazing service you have done, no matter how perfect human being you are, how kind hearted you are, no matter, you know, how much education, wealth, family, you know, perfection you have attained in your life, no matter how much devotional service you have done in your life, one should never ever forget their spiritual master. Ever. Because you will see further in this canto, and you would have already seen in sixth canto, that Vritrasur wanted to go to his spiritual master. And similarly, Prahlad Maharaj will further pray in this canto that, oh my Lord, how can I forget my spiritual master Narad Muni? I still continue to desire to serve my spiritual master Narad Muni. So no matter how high you think or how high the society and the world takes you or they think of you, in your mind and in your actions, you have to be always servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, of the Supreme Lord, of the spiritual master, and of the devotees. So here, this principle is now stressed by Yudhishthir Maharaj, who could have gone directly to Krishna and asked the same question, but he followed this principle of, of approaching spiritual master and surrendering to the spiritual master. So then Narad Muni, he starts to reply to Yudhishthir Maharaj on this point, and he says that, O king, blasphemy and praise, you know, these are for ordinary people. Supreme Lord is not an ordinary person. He is above the blasphemy and praise. He is above the dualities. He doesn't live in this material world. He is above the dualities. So, you know, he can't be, you know, even though the Shishupal was blaspheming him, Krishna is unaffected by such blasphemy. And then he says, my dear king, conditioned soul being in a bodily conception of life considers his body to be his self. So he's explaining that when would someone actually get offended? If I blaspheme you and you feel offended, then that means you are in a bodily concept of life. If I blaspheme you and you don't feel any offense, because you realize that you are the Brahman, you are not the Atma, you are not the body, you are the Atma, the spark of the Supreme Brahman, then you don't feel, that means you are in a liberated state, and Supreme Lord is eternally liberated. So, Supreme Lord never feels chastisement as such. And he further explains that there is no conception of I and mine for the Lord, and it is therefore incorrect to think that he feels pleasure and pain when blasphemed or offered prayers. Now, this is very different to reading third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Hiranyaksha was swearing at Varahadev. And the verses explain that Varahadev felt very bad. Varahadev felt very bad because Hiranyaksha was swearing at him. So there is this two different worlds now in front of us, where one view is explained by Narad Muni that at one platform, the Lord is unaffected because he's completely spiritual. But then how come Lord is affected when someone is blaspheming him or someone is... So this aspect of the Lord is in relation to his devotees. And the Lord feels when there is a devotee and God and relationship between God, then this aspect of feeling bad happens. because the Supreme Lord is then becomes by his own desire, by his own will, out of his own uh, mercy, the Supreme Lord puts himself under the devotee and establishes this exchange. An exchange can happen. Imagine if I was exchanging with you, and every time we were dealing, you had a blank face. Like I swear at you, you had a blank face. I praised you, you had a blank face. And I hugged you, kissed you, you had a blank face. So there is no exchange in this case. To have an exchange, you have to have this engagement and involvement in the relationship. So this is how the Supreme Lord feels bad sometimes when in relation to his devotees. um so in one sense, Narad Muni is right that Supreme Lord is unaffected. And um, and now some most amazing verses start of Srimad Bhagavatam, and they are also very difficult to understand verses. So I'm going to just recite this verse. It says, Tasmad Vairanu Nirvairena Bhayena Va Snehat Kamena Va Yunjat Kathanchinna Ikshate Prathak. He says, therefore, by enmity or by devotional service. Sorry, just bear with me a moment. Yeah. So therefore, by devotional service, by nirvairena. So vaira means to have enmity. Nirvairena means to be without enmity, which means to be a peaceful person, which means to be also devoted in that sense. So if you take nirvairena, so that means devotion. So it's negation. Bhayena, out of fear. Snehat, out of affection. Kamena, out of lust. Yunjayat means if you collect, if you concentrate. To do yunjan means to collect, to concentrate, to bring together and amass. So kathanchin na ikshate so here Narad Muni is saying that therefore, if a conditioned soul somehow or other concentrates his mind upon the Lord, the result is the same for the Lord. Because of his blissful position, he is never affected by enmity or friendship. So here Narad Muni has said that okay, even if someone is enemy of the Lord, he is still unaffected. Now Prabhupada gives a very big purport, and he begins directly. If there is someone who is an apparent reader on a surface or a superficial level, immediately they will think, okay, Narad Muni has said something about Prabhupada is now saying something else. And Narad Muni being the head of the parampara, we should follow the head of the parampara. But actually, here Prabhupada is explaining the actual meaning and intent of Narad Muni, which will also become very evident in few verses. Here Prabhupada says that one should not blaspheme the Supreme Lord, because blaspheme is very dangerous. The stress is given to the favorable execution of devotional service, not purposeful blasphemy of the Lord. Don't become a devotee who blasphemes the Lord and thinks that, okay, I will become liberated because I am constantly blaspheming the Lord, and in that way I'm chanting the names of Krishna, and therefore here your intent is really bad. So one who hears the blasphemy of Supreme God or his devotee should immediately take action or to leave. So if someone is blaspheming the devotees, oftentimes we are in association of devotees, in community of devotees, and we have a desire to say something about other devotees. And sometimes we take the names of other devotees and we let loose, and we say so many things about them. And if someone else is a genuinely practicing devotee, then what they should do is they should just say, excuse me, I just have some work. So they should avoid listening blasphemy of other devotees unnecessarily, and similarly avoid listening blasphemy of the Lord. So therefore, here Prabhupada is making clear distinction that Shishupal was not an ordinary living entity. Shishupal was actually the devotee of the Lord in his previous life, Jay and Vijay. So they have taken the third in reincarnation as Shishupal and Dantavakra. So do not compare yourself with Shishupal, who was blaspheming the Lord all the time, because that is not good way to do your devotional service. And then Prabhupada also mentions about Rupa Goswami, which is anukulasya grihanam pratikulasya varjanam. One should give up unfavorable activities and accept only favorable conditions in devotional service. And then there are many quotations which Prabhupada has given also from Madhvacharya, that blasphemer of the Supreme Lord, not only he, but his forefathers also receive hellish conditions of life. So this way, Prabhupada is trying to explain to us, the conclusion is that one should not give up pure devotional service. For one's own benefit, one should not imitate Hiranyakashipu or Shishupal. This is not the way to achieve success. Hiranyakashipu also was constantly blaspheming the Lord. But Prabhupada mentions that he was saved because at the end, devotee of the Lord, Prahlad Maharaj, pure devotee, he prayed to protect Hiranyakashipu like that. So an ordinary devotee should not develop this mood of enmity and wear to the Supreme Lord, blaspheme the Supreme Lord for something, because it's very, very, very sinful. But here Narad Muni continues. He says that by devotional service, one cannot achieve such intense absorption in the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as one can through enmity toward Him. That is my opinion. Shocking. Very, very shocking. Narad Muni is saying that if you are in enmity with the Lord, then you can't develop such intense absorption in Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service. Then how you will do it via enmity? That is my opinion. And here, any ordinary reader will be confused. Any ordinary reader. And the reason they will be confused is because if they are reading by themselves and they are not reading through parampara, if they are not reading through the directions of the previous acharyas, they will get confused, because Bhagavatam is not textual, it is contextual, and more than contextual, it is from the heart. It is the intent of the Lord. Now I'll ask you a very simple question. Imagine two people who are equally good in doing some service. Say we have Dharmendra Prabhu and we have Harmendra Prabhu. So Dharmendra Prabhu and Harmendra Prabhu, they both are amazing in organizing and taking care of devotees, devotee care, serving devotees, being servant of the servant. Now, in front of all of the audience, I have Dharmendra Prabhu and I've got Harmendra Prabhu, and I start glorifying Harmendra Prabhu. I say, Harmendra Prabhu, you are so amazing. For last 20 years, you have been serving. You have served every single devotee. You have taken the dust of the lotus feet of all the devotees, and you have not left. There is no devotee in this community or temple that you have not served. I am eternally grateful to you, and I pay my hundreds of obeisances to you. Now, when such glories of Harmendra Prabhu's are going on, and every devotee is saying, yeah, yeah, this is true, because Harmendra Prabhu is actually served. So everyone's saying, yeah, this is true. He served me so much. He's just amazing. He's fantastic. And next to him is Dharmendra Prabhu. I'm not saying this is how you will feel because he is Param Vaishnav, perfectly purified soul. But I'm just saying that sometimes Dharmendra Prabhu might feel that, yes, because Dharmendra Prabhu has been practicing devotional service with pure heart, he will also think in his heart, no, this is all true. This is all true. What they are saying is all true. Harmendra Prabhu is so much amazing. I should pay my obeisances to him. For millions of lifetimes, if I serve him, it will not be sufficient. This is the heart of a pure devotee. This is how pure devotee will start to think. Now, if a person comes to Dharmendra Prabhu and, they ask Dharmendra Prabhu, please say a few words about Harmendra Prabhu. So first thing, Dharmendra Prabhu, because he's practicing purely, first thing he'll say is, Harmendra Prabhu is way better than me. Harmendra Prabhu is the perfect devotee. Why Dharmendra Prabhu will say this is because he's cultivating humility in his heart. He is cultivating proper devotional service in his heart. He has sown the seeds of devotional service properly, he's cultivated it properly, nourished it properly. And then the symptom of cultivating something properly is that you will cultivate humility in your heart, and you'll be willing to give respect to everyone immediately, to an extent that they will in real sense feel that the other devotee is better than me. This is what happened to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami when he started to write Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. He is 93 years old, he is perfect Vaishnav, he is the most exalted, yet he is paying obeisances to every living creature, and he is considering all of them to be better than him. So here, this is the symptom of the perfect exalted devotees. And Narad Muni is exactly displaying this here. He is saying it is true. Shishupal is better than me because the kind of absorption he had is more than the absorption I have in the Lord. And this is what Narad Muni is feeling in his heart. Oh, Shishupal is so nice. So constantly he was thinking of the Lord. See, he was in enmity, and I am trying to do devotional service. Nonetheless, my devotional service is of no use. His enmity is better than my devotional service because his absorption is so amazing. This is the precise mood of Narad Muni that is being presented here. It doesn't mean Narad Muni is literally saying that, okay, this is my opinion that, everyone should be enemy of the Lord. Tomorrow onwards, everyone become the enemy of the Lord. This is not his intent. He is actually highlighting his own humility of heart. And this is what is stressed here. And Narad Muni gives an example that, grassworm, he is confined in a hole of a wall by a bee, and so he's always fearful that there is this enemy bee and they will kill me. And this in this fear, the grassworm is constantly thinking of the bee. So similarly, Narad Muni is explaining that in fear, someone is constantly thinking of their death, is constantly thinking of their enemy. So their absorption is amazing. Their absorption is great. This is what he's trying to highlight. So and therefore, because their absorption is great in terms of in the Supreme Lord, therefore they'll be immediately become free of their sins, and they will immediately attain liberation. So then he says this amazing verse again: Kama dveshat bhayat snehat. Kama out of lust, dveshat out of enmity, bhayat out of fear, out of snehat out of affection, or even through devotional service. Anyone who engages their mind, their tad agham means their sins, papa. Their tad agam hitva, their hitva means destroyed. In any of these five mellows, if anyone engages their mind in the Supreme Lord, their sins will be destroyed, and they will achieve liberation. Tad gatim gataha. They will achieve the ultimate liberation. So these are the five mellows which Narad Muni is explaining. If someone is, and then he's giving examples that gopis were thinking of Krishna out of lust, and Kamsa was out of fear. Shishupal and other kings were envious. Chedi, they were called Chedi kings. So the Chedi kings were envious of Krishna because Krishna was way opulent than Yadus were way opulent than Chedi kings. And the Yadus, they were thinking of him as their family member with Krishna. Similarly, Pandavas had great affection for the Lord. And in general, the devotees like Parikshit Maharaj, Narad Muni, he's saying that general devotees, Narad Muni is saying the general devotees by our devotional service have obtained the mercy of Krishna. So he considers himself general devotee. So you see the mood of Narad Muni. There is no breakage in the mood of Narad Muni. His humility is consistent. From the previous verse to this verse, he's still thinking of himself as just a general, ordinary devotee of the Lord. He's classifying himself. So he's telling that then one by five different processes above, one can return back home. So here he's now going to answer why Vena didn't go back home, back to Godhead, and why Shishupal. He's saying that, and this verse has got three secrets in them. Anyone who understands these three secrets will be having complete clarity in their mind of how to achieve the Supreme Lord. Willing to listen these three secrets, they are like the foundation of Srimad Bhagavatam. So why did Vena didn't go? He was blaspheming the Lord. Why did Shishupal go? He was also blaspheming the Lord. And the secret is like this, that somehow or other one should think of Krishna. Somehow or other, Shishupal was thinking of Krishna. Vena was also thinking of Krishna, but he was not thinking in a way Shishupal was thinking. When I say think of Krishna, what do you think? What do you understand by this statement? Think of Krishna. What do you mean think of Krishna? What do you mean by thinking of Krishna? Krishna means form. Satchidananda Vigraha. Vigraha means form. So thinking of Krishna's form. Here lies the big difference between the Mayavadis and the devotees. Mayavadis are also chanting Hare Krishna in Jagannath Puri. Mayavadis are also thinking, but they are thinking of the Lord as formless light. But here we see the magic of thinking of the Lord's form. Shishupal, who was the complete blasphemer all of his life, attains directly the Supreme Lord. So now this one massive difference between Shishupal and Vena, that yes, Shishupal was thinking, Vena was thinking. Shishupal was thinking of Krishna's form directly, because Prabhupada mentions in the purport, Shishupal was thinking, oh, here is my enemy. This person, this physical person, Krishna, he is my enemy. I want to kill him. Vena didn't have Vishnu in front of him. He had no day-to-day interaction or encounter of Vishnu's form. Brahmanas worshipped in his kingdom, but like Shishupal was having interaction with the form of Krishna day to day, so he was directly perceiving the form of the Lord. So thinking of Krishna, but thinking of the form, the personal form of Krishna. And lastly, and very most importantly, absorption in thinking of the form of the Lord. Absorption. Not thinking of the form of the Lord, thinking of his lotus feet, thinking of his beautiful face, thinking of his beautiful eyebrows, thinking of his beautiful forehead, thinking of his sharp shaped earrings in his ears, and his lovely pinkish cheeks. Not just thinking of the form of the Lord for few seconds or few moments, or in the month of Damodar. All 12 months need to be the month of Damodar for a devotee. The meditation has to be in all 12 months, in all 24 hours. Prabhupada mentioned in the purport 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. If you are so this is the difference. If your absorption is intense in Krishna, so thinking, but just not thinking him impersonal, thinking of the specific form of the Lord. And then when you think of the form of the Lord, then what is the degree of your absorption? And here Vena and Shishupal had no comparison. Kamsa and Shishupal, they were on the equal footing. They were constantly absorbed of thinking of Krishna. And this is what Narad Muni is saying, because they were constantly absorbed. He says, Katmo Pina Vena Syat Panchanam Purusham Prati. That Vena didn't apply this 5 mellows that Narad Muni had explained. Vena didn't do any of these 5. Panchanam Purusham Prati. Purusham means the form of the Lord. Purusham Prati. Tasmat Kenapi Upayana. Somehow or other, he says. Tasmat means therefore, he concludes. Therefore, with somehow or other, with some technique. Manha Krishne Niveshayat. Nivesh means investment. If you invest your mind in Krishna, if you invest in gold, ordinary assets of the world, properties, buy many property, you will see that the assets will grow over a period of time. Do you think that if you invest your mind in Krishna, there will be no growth? Eternal growth, guaranteed eternal growth. So therefore, here he's saying that invest your mind. When people do investments, they become very greedy investor. More, we want to make more. Like that, you become greedy for investing your mind in Krishna more. I want to absorb my mind more. I want to think of Krishna more. So this was the secret which resulted in Shishupal going back to Krishna. Now someone would say, oh, why did Shishupal actually merge in the body of Krishna? Shishupal were Jay and Vijay. They were serving in the personal form of the Lord. They were like physical forms. But how did they merge? Merging, there are 4 types of specific liberation, of which merging, which is Sayujya, devotees considered that to be lowest, because we don't want to merge into the Lord. And Prabhupada explains in his purport that actually Shishupal, he merged into the body of the Lord, but then eventually after his last birth, which was Shishupal, he went back home, back to Godhead, and took his original form as Sarupya and Salokya, means the form as the Supreme Lord and the same abode as the Supreme Lord. So he went there back to the Supreme Lord, but in a higher mellow, because he was originally servant of the Lord. If you have tasted something higher, you will never fall down to something lower. Makes sense? If you have tasted an amazing kheer, and if someone comes and gives you a lollipop, you will just throw the lollipop, you will take the kheer, because kheer, it's higher. So because they were already serving in person in Salokya, in same planet, and Sarupya, meaning same form as the Supreme Lord, they then went back into their original positions. So Maharaj Yudhishthir inquired that when Narad Muni told him that, okay, actually this Shishupal and Dantavakra, they were, originally Jay and Vijay, then and they were originally serving the Lord in Supreme Lord in Supreme Planet Vaikuntha. Then comes another big problem with Yudhishthir. He is shocked in the same chapter for second time, because according to him, that he's asking Kidrisha Kashyava Shapo, that what kind of curse was given to these two people, that in spite of being the Haridas, in spite of being the servant of the Supreme Lord, it's unfathomable for Yudhishthir Maharaj to know that how can a servant of the Lord even fall. Now Yudhishthir Maharaj underwent all problems in his life in front of the Lord, when the Lord was with him all the time, 24/7. Yet he didn't consider any of those problems as problems, and he was always happy. But here, when he saw that in front of the Lord, that his servants have fallen, have been cursed, how can a servant of the Lord ever fall? He's saying, this is ashraddheya. I can't believe this. For unflinching devotees of the Lord to fall again to this material world is impossible. I cannot believe this. So he's telling, posting the second question to Narad Muni, and then Narad Muni explains that actually it was the desire of the Lord, because he wanted to exchange with his devotees transcendental mellows of fighting. So the bodies of inhabitant Vaikuntha Loka are completely spiritual, having nothing to do with material body, senses, or life air. Therefore, kindly explain how the personality of Godhead associates were cursed to descend in the material bodies like ordinary persons, because Shishupal to him looked like very ordinary. So when you see ordinary people and then tomorrow someone says, okay, these people are ordinary, then sometimes you are very you think that, okay, these are ordinary, but then suddenly if they say, oh, they are not ordinary, they are actually incarnation of God coming from this planet and that planet, you can't believe it. Sometimes neophytes or people who have just newly joined our movements or have been even a few years in our movements, when we say that actually Prabhupada was not an ordinary soul, they can't fathom it. They just can't fathom it. They think, oh, Prabhupada was a grihastha like me. Prabhupada was doing business like me. Prabhupada had old age like lot of us. How come he be a special soul? So they have doubts. They can't fathom it, because the connection has not been made in their minds and heads. But beyond that, the connection has not been made in their heart and the soul. When you actually study Srimad Bhagavatam, everything is crystal clear and you will be able to see. I want to give the answer in way more detail, but I don't have time now to explain how someone who is even ordinary looking, doing ordinary activities, may not necessarily be ordinary, and you may not actually understand their full glory. How to understand that? So here Yudhishthir Maharaj likewise is very confused, and Narad Muni is then explaining that once upon a time there were four. He explains the story of Sanak Sanatan, how they got cursed, and then Yudhishthir Maharaj kind of understands, okay, these are Jay and Vijay, they were also Ravan and Kumbhakaran, and now they were coming as Shishupal. So this is the story of Jay and Vijay, which was there in the third canto, I think third or fourth canto, which I'm not going to go into details. You may read it. Um, so he's explaining that they were the four Kumaras were merciful on the doorkeepers, and they said that, okay, you will return to your position in Vaikuntha, and your curse will end soon. So because of the mercy of the four Kumaras, then the two associates Jan Vijay later descended to material world, took births, two sons of Diti and the Hiranyaksha. Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, they were respected by Daityas and Danavs, but they were then killed by Narsingadev and Varhadev respectively. And then came Ravan. They came back as Ravan and Kumbhakaran. But here, he tells that, okay, I'm not going to, when he's explaining about Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksh, he's telling that, okay, Hiranyakashipu tortured his son Prahlad a lot. Just very slightly, you see, this is the art of a storyteller. Where the heart of the storyteller is, Narad Muni is speaking this. Narad Muni's best disciple is Prahlad Maharaj. There is no occasion when Narad Muni fails to glorify his best disciple, Prahlad Maharaj. It is said that any Bhagavad Katha where the pastime of Prahlad Maharaj is not spoken, that Bhagavad Gita cannot be called complete. So Narad Muni, he is now speaking that, oh, as soon as he uses the word Hiranyakashipu, he sees how much torture his disciple had to go through. So he is mentioning that here, desiring to kill his son Prahlad, who was a great devotee of Vishnu. Hiranyakashipu tortured him in many ways. So because his heart is touched, that his disciple had to go through so much difficulty. Then he mentions about Ravan and Kumbhakaran, but he says, I'm not going to go in detail. They were the sons of Keshini, but you can hear about them from Markandeya Muni. Markandeya Muni is a very special Muni. I want to tell about him, but I can't because I am lacking time. Very special Muni. He was put on the pinpoint and he was punished because when he was child, he pierced the anus of an ant, and so Yamraj also punished him to be on a pointed seat to do his meditation, and then he cursed Yamraj to take birth in the material world, and Yamraj then took birth as Vidura, who we were reading in third and fourth cantos about. So Markandeya Muni is a powerful Muni. And then Narad, my dear king, just to relieve Jayavida the Brahmana's curse, Lord Ramchandra appeared and mentions about that. And then their third birth, they were Jay and Vijay, and sorry, in the third birth, they were the Kshatriyas. They were born as Kshatriyas. And because Lord Krishna had struck them with his disc, all their sinful reactions have now been destroyed and they are now free from the curse. Then Narad Muni basically, okay, it's not going to the next verse. Okay, some problem. So basically, Narad, last verse is basically Yudhishthir Maharaj is asking question now that, okay, why did Hiranyakashipu tortured his son Prahlad Maharaj? This is how the first chapter ends, because the story has to continue, right? And the storyteller Narad Muni, in his heart, is always Narad Muni. And Narad Muni basically, um, when he was speaking about Hiranyakashipu, he remembered his disciple, his most dear disciple Prahlad Maharaj, and he mentioned that he was tortured and troubled. And now, seeing that Narad Muni had spoken about this, that he was tortured and troubled, similarly, Yudhishthir Maharaj, being very compassionate in his heart, he want to hear why. You know, why was there such enmity between father and son, Hiranyakashipu and his beloved son Prahlad Maharaj? How did Prahlad Maharaj become such a great devotee of Lord Krishna? Now here he is asking how Prahlad Maharaj became such a great devotee and exalted devotee of Krishna. And the reason he's asking that is because Narad Muni is mentioning about Prahlad Maharaj in the previous verses. So that means if Narad Muni is speaking about someone, that must be a great devotee of Lord Krishna. So he says, kindly explain this to me. And then from next verses onwards, first Hiranyakashipu will be described, his austerities will be described, how his torture was happening throughout the world, that will be described. Killing of Hiranyaksha will be described. And Hiranyakashipu then consoles his mother and his wife of Hiranyaksha. And Hiranyakashipu then tells story and story inside another story. So, anyone who has seen Inception, the guy goes from one plane of existence to another, and from there to another, from there to another. This is exactly what's happening with next set of chapters, and that's the deepest level of storylining that you will see has gone in, of stories within stories within stories within stories. So stay with seat belts fastened on, just be excited. What's going to come to you will blow your mind off, blow your existence off, blow your devotion off, because it is perfect for anyone to hear these pastimes of the Lord. With that, I will stop and I'll beg your pardon that I went 10 minutes over time. I wanted to say many more things, but I just couldn't because of the limited time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. That was so exciting and a fantastic class to listen to. And thank you for summarizing the previous canto as well. If anyone has any questions, I think Geeta Gavan Mataji, you had a question. So if you would like to
Hare
ask yours.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. It
Namaste.
was an amazing class. Really appreciate every point that you have mentioned, Prabhuji. The only thing what I was thinking, whether it is right or wrong, I don't know how to put it. Yudhishthir Maharaj was a knowledgeable person. He had a lot of knowledge through his guru. Was he not aware of Jaya Vijaya getting the um, curse and then being born as a thing, and that is the reason he is absorbed into Krishna. Was he not aware of that?
I don't want to speculate, Mataji. From the direct evidence of Bhagavatam, it seems that he is not aware. It just seems. But let me tell you that oftentimes the devotees of the Lord, they are under this cover of the Supreme Lord, where Supreme Lord want to increase the ecstasy of exchange between the devotees. So sometimes you know something, there are different grades to this. Sometimes you know something and you know that you know that thing, but still you ask a question to someone who you respect and who you are very affectionate to, and you want to serve. So in spite of your knowledge, you still ask question, because you want to be surrendered and you want to ask them questions so that they can contribute something more deeper to you. And sometimes what happens is, you know the thing, but somehow by the covering of Maya, you have just forgotten it temporarily. And you end up asking the similar question. And now, when the same answer comes, it comes at much deeper level. So you have read it, you have understood it, but now you're reading it for 40th time, 50th time, 100th time. You still find something so deep in it. And what to speak of personalities like Narad Muni? If they are there, then you can get amazing amounts of realization. So here, with the kind of emotions presented by Yudhishthir Maharaj, he's shocked twice and he's asking questions. This is a conversation. So he's shocked twice, which means that he's really shocked to his core. One, to know that, some devotee of the Lord can fall from the spiritual world. And then also, to know that Prahlad Maharaj was tortured. And in the very beginning also, he was shocked. So it seems, Mataji, apparently that there is this cover of Maya, which may have played its part. Or it may be the case that actually Yudhishthir Maharaj may have not actually come across this pastime, because these pastimes are in Puranas. And sometimes he may have heard this pastime summarily, in summary. So you hear little bit, but because you are hearing a lot, so therefore you can't go back and detailed out the specific pastime. So when you hear it second time, then you say, yeah, I actually heard about this, but I've never known this. Can you please now explain to me? Can you please detail this to me? So that could also be the case.
Thank you, Prabhuji. That answered my question. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so Devi Mataji, would you like to ask your question?
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for today's class. You mentioned about the Venu, and I I just need to learn if I have understood it right. If I remember right, King Venu was the one who killed animal for no reason, and Brahmana killed him, but then turned him from his arms, turned him to King Prithu. Do I remember right?
You remember it right, Mataji. Vena was killed by Brahmanas. Vena was a notorious person. He was killed by Brahmanas. When Vena was killed, then when you have a chief dacoit, and you have all others are dacoits. But when the chief dacoit is killed, then all other dacoits, they run loose. So all the dacoits and cheats and thugs in the kingdom of Vena, when Vena was killed, they all were under fear of Vena. So they were behaving, within the boundaries. But now with Vena gone, they were out of their boundaries. So they started to create havoc in the kingdom, which was already under havoc from Vena. But after Vena died, it was still under big havoc. So basically, the Brahmanas, they took the right leg of Vena, and from the thighs of Vena, they took some mass. And because Vena was originally son of a very pious king, so because he was son of a pious king, they understood that within the body of Vena there is both impiety and piety, because this pious king was good, but Vena's mother was not good. Vena's mother's side was really bad. So that's what caused Vena to become corrupted in his mind and existence. But because he also had his father's backing, so his body had some goodness. So they extracted that goodness from his thighs and invoked special mantras and prayed to the Lord to come and take incarnation as Prithu Maharaj, who is considered as Saktya Vesha avatar. Saktya
Vishnu.
Vesha, yeah, yeah, he's an
Vishnu,
incarnation.
Lakshmi.
Yes, he's an incarnation of Vishnu, who is a Saktya Vesha avatar or empowered incarnation, and he's at the same level as Indra.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Indalika Mataji, would you like to ask your question, please? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please connect with my humble obeisances of good Shri Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji, for nicely taking us through this beautiful chapter. Prabhuji, a little question here. Was it Markandeya Muni or Mandavya Muni? Because Markandeya Muni, he was the one who wanted to see the Lord during the annihilation. So he was in the water of the devastation. But Mandavya Muni, I think he was the one who was put to test also.
Yeah, in my reading and in my memory, I have come across Markandeya Muni, who was basically punished by Yamraj, and somehow or other, because of my great fortune of my wife, we were once in South India, and she wanted to visit all the 108 Divya Deshams. Divya Deshams are special temples established by Sri Sampradaya. In one of the Divya Deshams in South India, there is a specific place where Markandeya Muni sat for thousands and thousands and thousands of years doing his meditation. And that place is still super potent. If you visit that place, you can feel the vibration and the energy. And because I had been to this place, and because I therefore the Markandeya Muni has been edged in my brain for his activities, what he did.
Yes.
So I think it is Markandeya Muni, but I could be wrong. But in my memory and my understanding, it was Markandeya Muni who actually can explain to you Ramayana and Ramayan, because he was there at that time, and then he was there, during he cursed Yamraj to become Vidura.
Okay, Prabhuji. But what I know about, I visited 82 of those temples. I couldn't make the 808. It was too much for me.
Okay.
So yes, but Markandeya Muni, what I gather from the scriptures also, he's the one he could watch Krishna, Bala Govindam, sucking his toe from his foot. And I don't know. For me, it's Mandavya Muni, but I don't know, Prabhuji. We can also still look into it.
Yeah, you can look. You can ask ChatGPT, or you can go to Google, or you can just open Srimad Bhagavatam in Veda base and do a search. Yeah. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Okay, thank you. Janaganya Mataji, would you like to ask your question, please?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for wonderful class. I'm just wondering about the statement you made about glorifying, or not necessarily glorifying, praising devotees. What's the difference? I think we actually do glorify individuals that we like something that say or do. Can you elaborate a bit more about the benefit of glorifying devotees a bit more?
Sure, Mataji. When I say glorifying devotees, there it goes without saying that it has to be a genuine glorification. Otherwise, it will cause problem to the devotee who is being glorified. Genuine glorification with some understanding of that devotee. If some devotee by taking glorification gets puffed up or is badly negatively impacting his devotional service, then that is something which will be to the detriment of that devotee. So you have to see, anyone who follows devotional service properly over a period of time, they are supposed to become expert. Yoga karmashu kaushalam. In second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that this yoga karmashu kaushalam. Kaushal means expertise. So you have to know which person to glorify and how much to glorify to increase their devotion to the Lord. That is our purpose of glorification. And second purpose of glorification is to purify our own self. When we are envious of someone, or when we have matsarya, when we want to put someone down, then we want to glorify them first. By glorifying someone first, your desire to criticize and pull them down will be slightly diminished. I will not say it will be completely vanquished, but in that moment it will be slightly diminished. And by glorifying someone, you will purify your own heart. You will feel in your heart that there is some cooling ice which has been put in your heart for a moment, which was burning with this um, thirst for criticizing someone. But the moment you glorify that person, you forget that okay, they have done something bad, they have said something to you, but in that moment at least you're glorifying, and that fire is vanquishing. So these are the two main purposes of glorifying, and glorification must be genuine. It should not be artificially done. Otherwise it's you itching my back and I itching your back, which is basically mundane and material. And when devotees glorify other devotees, if they glorify in the line of disciplic succession, which means explaining how whatever activities or whatever qualities those devotees are cultivating, that falls in line with other great devotees of the Lord. So quoting and referencing Mahajan, quoting and referencing other sincere devotees, quoting and referencing Acharyas, quoting and referencing Prabhupada's life and how he was serving. So like that, you can quote and reference in the line of disciplic succession. So that will authenticate your heart's content with the existence of authenticity of the Acharyas. And that will validate, it will stamp your glorification, because you have done, you are saying genuine stuff, you are saying according to how the acharyas have been glorified or acharyas have behaved. So there are these pros and cons with regards to glorification. Oftentimes devotees meet in social gatherings and they're just, for the sake of glorification or for the sake of having good time, because it's also important to have good time with devotees. So, we don't want to be entering an association of devotees and start to say negative things about devotees. We just want to say, okay, Prabhu, yeah, you're amazing. You're washing pots every Tuesday. You're amazing. You do this. Okay. These things are said once in a while. They should not be like made into a repeated habit where the person starts to take it. Yeah, I do it. I do it. And if I don't do it, it'll be a problem. So it should not go into their heads. Unfortunately, for a lot of the people, it goes into their heads. Similarly, giving a talk, for example, you all are coming to me and you're glorifying, oh Prabhuji, this was wonderful talk, this was this. It can go into my head. But immediately as someone says these things, I know Krishna is the ability in man. You know, that anything that has been given to me is by my grace of my spiritual master by reading Srila Prabhupada. So immediately in the mind, I have to offer it. If I don't offer it, there will be a problem. So you give glorification to people who can take glorification. You don't give glorification to people who can't take glorification. If you put it in a vessel which is already full, then that glorification will fall out, which means the devotees will not actually have the deep import of what you said to them. It will just go from one ear, come out from another ear, like casual words, because it is overflowing. Everyone's glorifying them. Everyone's glorifying them. Any new glorification that's coming to them, they will not think about the glorification. When a devotee thinks about glorification, they think how this person has glorified my spiritual master, how this person has actually glorified devotional service, how this person is actually, they don't know they are glorifying the Supreme Lord, but they are just thinking that I am doing the seva, so they are thinking that they are glorifying me. In reality, they don't know it's actually the Supreme Lord. So when such kind of meditation goes in every glorification, that in this meditation also your glorification becomes the glory of the Supreme Lord, your glorification becomes the glory of other devotees. In your mind, you think, oh, they are glorifying me. And actually, this Mataji did everything. I didn't do anything. They started the session, they read the whole verses. So, this is a whole journey of the mind and the consciousness and the heart. So when everyone's glorifying too much, then glorification comes from one ear, goes, and there is no time to meditate. There is no time to glorify the Lord for the glory you received, and that's where then that glorification is of no use. I don't know if I answered your question in proper details.
I like what you had to say, Prabhu, but I'm just thinking about if if you practice humility, are you striving for humility? Why would you want to have that glorification? And often it happens in groups and individuals get highly praised. And what about the rest of the group? Because we're all thriving to be part of and also want the same kind of recognition, not necessarily recognition in the sense that, oh, look at me kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of recognition that I am part of the group. Let's share what there is to offer, and let's
Yes.
all be, yeah, you see what I mean?
Yes, I see what angle or perspective you are getting into. So let me tell you, this is multifaceted sword. Here, there is one side is that devotees. One is institutional side. Devotees will glorify those devotees who are part of the institution, meaning who are in position to serve the other devotees. So the like a chief temple president will always glorify his immediate servant, even though there are so many servants under hood who have done so many services. They will never glorify someone who is at the lower rung or at the bottom, because they want to make sure their immediate servant is happy, and they are then glorifying this servant so much that that servant is not able to glorify the devotees. So this is called institutional glory, and people generally do this to keep strong hold of the people who are directly reporting into them. So this is institutional glory. This is a mundane, material. Then there is spiritual glory. Spiritual glory, what happens is we are supposed to be practicing as devotees. We are supposed to be becoming happy when we hear other people's glories, and we are supposed to be, becoming soft-hearted by practicing glorifying others, genuine glorification of others. But when we go in a group where we are constantly hearing glories of only one or two people, then that is a not a balanced group, Mataji. Because what happens when only one person gets glorified all the time, then what happens is that one person becomes godly, and there is no scope for any other person to become godly, even though they may be godly. So there is some drawbacks of this system, and there are some benefits of this system. All the people who are in the group, they will get some benefit from glorifying that person. They will have some purity, they will develop humility, but at one point in time they will start to hanker, okay, why only this person gets glorified all the time? I am also practicing for 10 years. I also served Mahaprasad to devotees. I also did so many things for devotees. Or these people only glorify those people who actually serve them directly. Like you are my group member, so I'll glorify my group members. I'll not. So those things are there, but those are inorganic movement growth. So now we are going to structural growth of an institution and applying glory for that. When you have groups like that, then you see these. On the other side, Mataji, we should also be willing to actually listen glories of others, regularly practicing it. It is very difficult. It is very difficult. And therefore, it's generally for a lot of the saintly people we know in ISKCON, they have never been heard, but they are more glorious. They have done more services. They are more humble. They are more close to God. They are more connected to God. But you never hear of their glories because they have not been present in your face. They are not giving talks. Generally, the one who gives talks becomes like the most perfect soul all of a sudden, just by giving one talk. That's not the case. They have their own struggles, but they are not presenting those to you. They are presenting Krishna to you. And anyone who presents Krishna, you think they are the best because they are presenting Krishna. So there are so many combinations, but in general, for a simple hearted devotee without getting into complexities in any group, feel happy to glorify devotees genuinely. If there is no such cause to glorify, there is no need to unnecessarily glorify. There is no need to itch someone else's back. You will spot when there is groupism going on or when there is institutional glorification going on. It is very easy to spot. Where there is, they say in English, right? Um, you have to pay where it is due. Where the glory is due because of pretty evident situation and pretty evident circumstances, one must do the glorification. By not doing, in scriptures, it's very nicely said. It's very bewildering. If to a beautiful person, beautiful lady, if you don't tell that you are beautiful, then they take offense, right? Prabhupada is mentioning this. So it becomes an offense. We don't want to go to every beautiful lady and we want to glorify. But if someone's we know, and if we are serving with them, I'm not speaking of men, I'm speaking of ladies with ladies. Men should avoid such kind of interactions. But similarly, if some devotees are actually glorious and devotees don't glorify them, there is a problem in the community. So devotees and the communities have to learn, and this really depends on how community has progressed in their devotional existence. Generally the mic holder, the class giver, the one who is in the face, the book distributor, the announcer, or the one who is serving the prasad, or one who is constantly seen as the head position in the temple, head pujari or head volunteer, they receive all the glory, usually speaking, because they have taken more devotional service for the Lord. If and that for that they should be glorified. But there are other devotees who have also taken more glories, but they are in the background. So you have to have eyes to identify devotees. And you have to constantly think that you are lower than those devotees. Then you will be in a happy position. Sorry, it was a long answer.
No, it's you got different angles to it, which was interesting. And as you say, give credit where credit is due.
You.
The English way of
Yes.
saying
Sorry.
goes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was my thinking is coming from a sense of, if you are genuinely sincere and and honest and committed to something, and you're offering your heart to whatever you're doing, you wouldn't need any praise or glorification.
As a human being, the heart yearns for a relationship, and relationship is meaning mellows. And in mellows there are exchanges, and one of the exchange is glorifying. Right now we are glorifying Krishna, so Krishna is listening. Krishna
Yes.
is present, right? So likewise, an ordinary human being, being part and parcel of Supreme Lord, will feel the need for glorification at some point. Genuine need. It's not an artificial need. And when they are not glorified, when no one acknowledges them, no one tells them anything, that is also bad on part of devotees. We must recognize those devotees and genuinely say two good words about them. So, there is a genuine need for glorification in human beings because it comes from the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna. Panchali Mataji, do you want?
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sorry, I just wrote the text. It's got a typo. I meant to say it. Thank you for the wonderful class. Prabhuji, a very quick question, only if there's time. My question was around the form and absorption and remembering Krishna. So say, for example, when we are chanting the names of Krishna, so sometimes we need to hear the sound. Sometimes we don't really, so what should we prioritize? Should we actually prioritize the form of Krishna or the sound, hearing the sound of Krishna?
Thank you. Thank you for asking this question. Krishna is such amazing personality. I can't tell you. I was thinking of specifically putting this point towards the end of the session, because I wanted to focus on the chanting on this point of thinking, form, and remembering. So when we are generally chanting and we are just rote chanting, then and we had no time to discuss this point, but now it has come to me as a question. So I'm very, very grateful to the Supreme Lord and to the devotees. When we are chanting and when we are rote chanting, we are not actually remembering the Lord. We are not hearing about Him. We are not hearing His form. Then this is called Mayavadi chanting. Because we are like those Mayavadis who are actually thinking of Krishna by taking his sound, taking his name, but actually there is no form. We are thinking of some business, we are thinking of some work, we are thinking of cooking, some impersonal. Krishna is there directly in his name, but it's impersonal. So, so this is the beginning. So when we are actually chanting, then it goes Nama, Rupa, then Guna, Leela. So in the chanting, which is the name of the Lord, you will first start with sound vibration of the Lord. And as you progress in chanting further, then you will have the form of the Lord constantly displayed in front of your eyes. It will be difficult to take your mind away from Krishna. So Nam, then Rupa. So Rupa has to come. And if you can't see the form of the Lord while you're chanting, let me give you a very touching example, which when I read this for the first time, I was shocked. There is one beautiful verse which comes in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Nothing to do directly with chanting, but something to do directly with Prabhupada. So this verse goes like Kashis tat putro rashtra dhirgatamah pitah dhanvantri dhirgatamasa ayurveda pravartakah yagna bhuk vasudevam sham smritamatra artinashanaha. So this last two lines, so the lineage of different devotees are being mentioned, and in the lineage comes Dhanvantri. Everyone knows Dhanvantri, who is the takes away the diseases. So now here the verse goes like this: Yagna Bhuk Vasudeva Amsham. So this personality who came from Yagna, he is the Amsha of Vasudev, meaning an incarnation of Vasudev. Yagna Bhuk Vasudevam Sham Smrita. Smrita Matra, meaning just simply by remembering. I'm speaking literal terms of Sanskrit. Smrita Matra, simply by remembering him. Arti, which means diseases, Nashanaha, will be gone. Smrita Matra Arti Nashanaha. So this is the Sanskrit where the stress is given to remembering of Dhanvantri. If you remember, but when Prabhupada translates this, Prabhupada uses the word, when you take your diseases will go away if you take the names of Dhanvantri. So the verse says Smrita, and Prabhupada's translation, Prabhupada is saying, when you chant his name or when you take his name. So you have to understand, in the mind of Prabhupada, chanting, as soon as Prabhupada chanted, his mind was immediately seeing. And therein lies the big difference between the pure devotee and someone who is fallen like me. As soon as I take the name, I am not thinking. So there is a dichotomy between my taking the name and associating with the person, as opposed to pure devotees taking the name and associating with the person. For Prabhupada, taking the name is directly equal to seeing the Lord, thinking of the Lord. Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. He is all 4-5 levels he is seeing. But for us, we have to practice. Therefore, Prabhupada told us that you start with Nama, at least hear the sound vibration. And when you do the sound vibration, the mind will start to run away everywhere. But if you try to hear the sound with your ears, your mind cannot run. It is in a, what you call, there is a special move. Your mind gets locked. If you are actually doing this exercise of speaking from the tongue and hearing back, mind cannot run. And if the mind is running, that means you're not hearing. So if you just keep doing this, then slowly you will have attraction for the form of the Lord. So Prabhupada gave perfect scientific ways of this.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. That really clarifies things. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.